what we want to do today really is to highlight these extraordinary women. And they come from all over the world. We have Rosa, who owns Vi's Closet, and that is on Grand Cayman Island. We have Lee, who owns Busted, and she's got stores in Chicago and Detroit. And we have Sam, who owns Broad, and Sam is in Toronto. And all of these women are doing things very much out of the box and very differently from one another. And some of them I don't think have even, this is the first time that they've actually met each other. So it's kind of exciting, but I know all three of them, and I think this is going to be really, really amazing. Just really good conversation. And I think that you are going to really enjoy hearing what they have to say. I said before that we really want to highlight these stores and these ladies because they have some tips and things that they're doing that you might want to be able to use for your stores. Their stores might be very similar to yours. They are at all stages at this point of doing business in the age of COVID. For example, Rosa right now in Grand Cayman is wide open and she's doing business just the way she always has. Nobody's wearing a mask anymore. It's all safe. And quite frankly, we are very, very envious of that and can't wait to get to that ourselves. We have Lee with Busted, and Lee is doing mainly by appointment, some walk-ins, but really by appointments, which I know we are all enjoying the whole appointment-driven situation now, with, of course, using all precautions. And then there is Sam in Toronto, who is presently in lockdown again. So everything that Sam is doing is really in the virtual world. So I just want to mention that our industry, more than any others, is really about human contact. And frankly, that's what we love the most about this. It's just person to person. It is just one of the most extraordinary experiences to be able to change someone's life and to be there with them. So when everything went to hell in a handbasket last March, the question became, how could we show our customers we cared? And how could we help? So we offered to do some virtual events. Rosa was actually one of the first to agree to this. And Lee was right on the money as well. And then Sam. And we all did very, very different events. And that's actually what we're going to talk about today. So I have a few questions for everyone. And I'm going to start with Lee. And I want to remind you that we did this because it was a while ago. We did an Instagram live event together, and we talked specifically about Alomi and some of the new styles coming in. And then recently, you've also done a by invitation private event, which is a whole different thing. So they're two very different ways of talking to your customers. Can you tell us about both events and what worked and maybe what didn't work?
Sure. Both events were a lot of fun. They were very different. We handled them differently. So we were very thankful when you guys reached out and said you want to try this, because we were already doing Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives just in all the different stores. So I happened to be in Chicago that day, and Freddy in New York, and so we both were dealing with some different internet issues, but it worked out really well because you had the product and you were showing it just with your hands. It wasn't on a model. So that's the big difference. We used a model for our invitation event. We were able to market the Instagram one just a few days prior. So we had people watching, sort of like, you know, used to have TVs, and we would turn on a show at a certain time. Worked out, right? It was a lot of fun because I got to see what people were interested in, right? For what was coming up. And some people reached out and said, do you have that in a different color? So I got some private responses that kept us relevant. The private group, we looked at people who are already buying and invited 40 women on. 32, I believe, showed. And it was a lot of fun because they were able to ask questions. And we had 2 models in the store. So we did it in store. And then if someone said, ooh, do you have that in a different color? We could pull it straight from our racks and do some selling there if they wanted it. So we have a pre-selling event. They were both super successful and a lot of fun. And we got new customers with the Instagram, and we really helped our customers with the private event, made them feel super special, let us be able to make them feel super special. So it's just one more way to touch.
But 2 very different ways.
2 very different ways. Yeah. Well, one, people can go back and look at over and over again. I'm still getting people talking about our Instagram, and they asked, do you still have, whatever bra we were looking at? At the time we do, or we have it in a different size or whatever. So the private event really made our current customers feel special. So they have told their friends and sending more. So yeah, you're really reaching different groups.
Well, we did with Sam, we did the private event, right? And it was the first time for both of us that we'd ever done anything like this before, right? In fact, the whole thing it was the first time for everybody, or the second time, right? It's still very, very new. And for me, this one it just got very, very emotional. And we reached out to each other afterwards, virtually in tears. And I thought that I was the only one that, I don't know, somehow something triggered in me and not in anybody else. And Sam, you and Siobhan were feeling the same way, right? So the question is, we did a private event for some of your special customers. And I remember you and Siobhan, who was helping us. By the way, Sam was actually modeling, doing an amazing job. So she was walking and talking and showing all at the same time, which I just had to talk. So that was a huge deal. The audience had their videos turned off, and obviously the sound turned off. And then at the very end, they turned on the videos and we heard their voices. And I just felt this thing welling up inside me. It was so emotional, right? I think it just touched all 3 of us. So can you tell us a little bit more about that, and why did we feel that way? Sam, I still can't quite figure it out. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, so the event we had was the Alomi themed private Zoom event. So we sent out information in our newsletter, and people could RSVP. So we had about 45 folks who joined us. And what I love about my customers is they're kind of nerdy. So it was really fun because we did have a lot of sort of showing off product and talking about the fashion, and I was acting as the model and sort of going back and forth with Freddy, and then Siobhan was monitoring the chat so people could ask questions in the chat, and then we'd go from there. But our customers really love to hear about those like details of how a bra is made, or why a bra might be discontinued, and what is the difference between fashion and basic. So we got to get into a lot of that nitty gritty. But yeah, as Freddy was saying, right at the end of the event, it was her brilliant suggestion that we would all turn the cameras on and the mics, and suddenly seeing this sea of faces who, a lot of them I hadn't seen in a long time, or there were some new people, and hearing their voices, it was really emotional, because as I think we can all sort of talk about that emotional connection that you get in the fitting room with the customer. And it was really beautiful to be able to feel that on a extreme end, because suddenly you're seeing all of these people versus just the one person. But yeah, it was just this really beautiful moment of community. So for us, the Zoom was helpful for sales. So we did have a lot of people following up saying, oh, I saw that style, I want one, or the one that's coming in the new Matilda and Storm, sign me up, make sure it comes to me. But it was also really just a way to keep connected and to show our appreciation for the customers, because part of what has allowed me to get through all of this time is staying connected and having that support from our broads. So yeah, it was a really beautiful event, and I'm glad I got to do it, and I'm planning on doing a new one. So
you're planning something, aren't you, for February?
Yes.
Right? And do you want to tell us about that? Because I just think it's such a cool idea. Just another way of doing something virtual for your customers.
So this will be another RSVP only Zoom event, and the theme is going to be sexy lingerie. So in true sort of broad fashion, we'll get like a little bit nitty gritty about that. So what does sexy mean? And like, what do you do if your partner wants to buy you something sexy, like how to lead them in the right direction, but also have some fun. So I will be modeling, and then I have enlisted my lovely sister, who is also a burlesque performer and a jazz singer, so I'm hoping I could get her to perform. But she's more plus size, so we'll have sort of the two ends of the spectrum. I guess I'm still on the curvy end, but I'm in the sort of Freya fantasy zone, and she's in the Alomi zone, and just sort of go back and forth about how you can wear sexy things just to feel good. And yes, you can wear something for a partner, that's fun as well. But I have had a lot of requests for sexier bras during this COVID times, because I think people, a lot of us are in sweatpants every day, and we're feeling a little not ourselves. So it's nice to treat yourself and suddenly feel like a glamorous human again, versus a sort of sweatpants blob, which is good too, but it's nice to have that access to glamour and sexiness.
Like a vixen. Like a sexy vixen. I haven't felt like that in a long time, actually, to tell you the truth. But how cool is that, right? I mean, that's really kind of thinking out of the box. I just love it. Just love it.
So that sounds like a lot of fun, Sam. Yeah, and we may be stealing some of your ideas on that one.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, we have so many people saying, I need something sexy and fun and not boring.
I know, but you don't have her sister.
Oh.
You'll find someone.
I'll see if I can like get her connected. She'll be in Zooms worldwide.
Well, that's the nice thing about all of this. It's like there are no boundaries anymore, right? We could go anywhere and do anything with virtually anybody if we feel like it, right?
Sure.
So, Rosa, you were the first one that was brave enough to do something with us. And we did a Facebook Live, and it was last August. So I remember very well, we videoed at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Yes.
It was right before the store opened. And you invited your customers, we were talking about it as we were doing our thing, to come in that day to shop. So it was all very, very kind of immediate. It was almost like you picked up the phone to call them, come in now, because we have all this fabulous stuff. Can you tell us if that post resulted in increased sales that weekend? And I recall you had a model too.
Yes, so thank you so much, Freddie. I think that the Ilomi event that we had, Ilomi Goddess event that we had, was kind of the galvanizing of our video marketing strategy, because we had dabbled in Facebook Live before, but never with a live model. And I had just hired someone who is a double H cup. So she was like perfect for our core customer. So in doing this live, we had a lot of learnings, didn't we, leading up to it, how we were going to collaborate together. That was interesting. Lots of late nights and early mornings trying to figure out the technology. But I had never carried Matilda, and we also decided to invest in Celeste, which is the non-wire for bigger gals, because of the time that we're in. We also showcase Saatchi and Energize. And because I'm in the islands, my shipping is a little bit different. It's delayed because it goes to a forwarder and then it comes on to me. So we had agreed that I needed to have the product in store before we did this live event, and it turned out to be great. So we introduced Matilda, and Matilda very quickly became a #1 seller for us after this Facebook Live and continues to be very strong. But what it did was we found that having the independent voice with Freddy talking about fit, some of the things that women just don't express. And Freddy was able to bring it forward and say, you know, when this feels like this, or when you're going through this situation and it's, you know, coming out through what you're wearing and your foundation, we were able to kind of demystify some of the things that women don't feel comfortable talking about. And also bringing on the live model just made it very human. Like, this is me, bigger busted, you know, Vice Closet is doing this live on camera, and it just opened up this following of there's realness here. So I think for us, that event that was with Eveden just truly was a great baseline for everything else we did since then. It brought a lot of integrity from having Freddy on with us, but also brought in women who felt like they were seeing themselves on the screen.
And that's it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all agree that, you know, when we do these live events, kind of like this in a way, right? So not everything goes smoothly. It's not slick. It's not packaged. You know, the sound sometimes goes, or the thing jumps, or the lighting is bad, or, you know, all of that sort of thing. The cat comes in and the tail is up your nose, which happens a lot in this apartment. But that's all part of, you know, the humanness of the industry, and that we're just humans, right? And I think, and it makes it very immediate and comforting and interesting to watch, because really anything could happen, couldn't it? Which is fun too. I mean, who wants to see something kind of prepackaged and slick? So I'm really enjoying that world, right? Just, and I feel that there is a connection. You know, what we love, what I said before, we love about this industry is that being able to hug someone and cry with them when, you know, when you change their life and all of this, right? And so how to do that virtually. And I think, you know, is it ever going to replace what we do in person? No, but I feel that it can add to it when we can't see them personally. You know, and Sam, that's what you're doing now. You're living with your customers. It's in a virtual world, isn't it?
Pretty much. So now that I'm in lockdown #2, I am really thankful that right before all of this happened, I was already sort of planning on doing some updates, and I was able to get an appointment booking system set up, and also to completely rehaul my online store. And now I'm also, through the appointment booking system, offering virtual fittings. So these are Zoom fittings, and we basically, I'll have the customer measure themselves, and then if they're comfortable, I'll assess the fit of one of their bras. So I find over camera, the angles are different. I want as much information as possible. So we go back and forth about their likes and dislikes and any problems they have. And then after I come back with a sort of a follow-up email with links to the online stores of all of the styles in my recommended sizes, and then they can just easily pick and choose. And it's basically like I'm acting as their sort of personal shopper. So I give them all the information that they need, but at the end they can sort of decide what styles to take. So just as in a regular fitting, we'd be bringing bra after bra, but then they tailor it down to what they've decided fills their needs best. I'm doing that virtually. And it's been really successful. I'd say for the most part, most people after virtual fitting do actually purchase something. And sometimes we do need to do exchanges, but for the most part, I've been able to be pretty spot on. It's still a work in progress, but it's something I want to continue to do even in a after COVID world, because there's lots of clients who live out of town or just don't feel like actually trekking to the store, and I'd like to be able to offer that to them once this is all died down. Yeah.
Well, speaking about new appointment systems, Lee, you were very keen about the one that you have at the moment. You were telling me how much you love your new appointment system. So can you enlarge on that a little bit? Because I'm sure other stores would be really interested to know what you're using.
Sure. I do. I love my appointment system. It's very nerdy how much I love my appointment system because I have 4 stores. And so being able to coordinate when people can come in, you know, sorry, my brain isn't quite as spongy as it used to be. And so sometimes I don't even remember when store number 2 is open, which days, and compared to store number 3. So we already used Square as our backup credit card processor because honestly, technology fails, right? So I have like 2 or 3 different backups in case something goes wrong. One of them. And so as I was looking at the Square app with one of my employees and conspirators, she said, look, they have an appointment system. And I was like, no way, that's awesome. And it integrated with my POS system, which happened. And so when that happened, and with BigCommerce, people go straight onto my website and book an appointment, and it's all to my calendars, and they can pick which store they want. They can tell me if they're a returning customer or a new customer. They can give me details. Sometimes they can say, I'm making this appointment for me, but I'm bringing my 74-year-old mother. You know, can you help us both at the same time? And what are you doing for COVID? So we can communicate with the appointment system. And it really has been easy. Check it from anywhere. Any of my managers can check and see what's going on, and we can really make it useful for both us and for the customer. I loved it. I'm sure other people are like, I have a much more sophisticated, you know, I haven't been using the appointment system for long, and so Square really fit the bill for me.
And I think it can kind of change everything. Is that what you use, Sam? Square?
I use Calendly, but I am now very interested in Square, and I'm going to be doing some research.
It propagates over to Calendly.
Oh my God.
Together. So it all works together. It's really easy, and the link goes straight onto, and it goes into Facebook, it goes into Instagram, it goes into Twitter, it goes into anything you want, and it all propagates in the same place. Really
incredible. Okay, yeah, I will be looking into this. Thank you.
Yeah. It texts your customer also with a confirmation. It'll text or email or do both with a confirmation on the appointment. So yeah, I love it. Makes it easy. There's some things on there too that say somebody doesn't come to the appointment, which happens at least once a day. Somebody doesn't show up. Can actually hit a little button to say it was a no-show, and we have a very kind in my opinion, a very kind email that says, hey, we noticed you weren't able to come today. Do you need to make a, I know things happen. If you need to make another appointment, just let us know. You can contact us directly. It's not, you didn't show up, you're a bad customer. It's just, we noticed this didn't happen. We'd love to help you some other way. Yeah, it does that automatically for me. I don't have to recreate that email all the time.
That's incredible. I'm very excited about this. Thank you.
Glad I could help.
If we do nothing other than this, right, then we've kind of done our jobs, I think, right? This is information that we can all use. So,
listen, we all have to make it. We love our industry, right? We're all in different areas. If we don't continue being successful in our boutiques, and our vendors aren't going to be successful getting things to the other boutiques at such high quality that we get from you guys, such beautiful items. And so if we can help each other, be successful in our own little areas, I think that's the best thing. We all have to work together. The industry is so important. It's so important. Women need us and we need each other.
that's, we could end it right there. Women need us and we need each other, right? But we won't, because Rosa, now you have got a really good tip as well. So we talked about how you're spending your advertising dollars. And for me, it was really eye-opening. Remember, it was like, really? My God.
Yeah.
No idea. So can you tell us where you're putting your dollars now?
Thank you, Freddie. During the lockdown, we were closed for about 43 days, and I had updated my website a year prior on Wix.com, but I didn't have an e-commerce element where persons could go in, start a cart, and check out. So I worked on that during the lockdown, but before I did the website transition to have an e-shop, I was doing very traditional media. I was doing radio, I was doing print, I did some shows. I was boosting posts on Facebook and Instagram, but not with a real strategy. And when the lockdown came and we reopened and we were doing more one-to-one with customers and everyone was at home, my digital consultant said, you need to drive traffic directly to the e-shop so that they can see everything that you have. So I did have one video from another brand that I had on Google that I did myself on YouTube, and it took me forever to personally do that. And it was on for 6 months and I couldn't change it. But my digital consultant helped me pull together a banner ad strategy through Google advertising. And it has been a tremendous transformation for my business. I do still post on Facebook and Instagram and boost them. And when I have like a flash sale or something like that, or when I want to give more eyes to a specific product that may not be moving, but I no longer do radio and I no longer do print, only the print that I think that's valid, because there are some publications that I think are still important. And we're British, so persons still go through magazines and read the paper. But for the most part, my entire marketing spend is digital. And it goes directly to my e-shop. And what I've found in terms of behavior, persons still want to come in and try on and have a boutique experience because they can, because we have done what we need to do to still have those privileges in COVID, but they're going to shop and know exactly what they want before they walk in my store. And that helps, because going through that whole process of, do you like t-shirt bras? Do you like cut and sew? What do you wear? They've already filtered it down to what they saw online and what they like. So Google advertising and being able to target and also pick product that I really want to push that's aligned with my brand has been the key to my success and transformation during the lockdown through to 2021.
See, I found this totally fascinating.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mhm.
Or am I the only one because I'm so just out of the loop?
No, we get people who contact us all the time. Come do radio, come do TV. I had just had a couple of people mansplain to me why I have to do TV. Saying no. So this really helps me realize that the way I'm thinking is right. So thank you very much. That digital is good. But I haven't done any of the banner ads, so I'm gonna look at that too.
You have to, because in the Cayman Islands, our demographic is still developing. In the United States, oh my goodness, you have zip codes, you have specific persons you can target. And I really wish I had the sophistication that you have access to. And what we found is that video performs so much better than anything else. We do a number of things, whether it is text media, they show up when someone does a search, and Vi's Closet will show up as a listing in text. We do video marketing through Google, but we also do what they call dynamic advertising, where you put keywords, you put a selection of photos and messages, and Google will piece it together for you based on whoever is looking. So the other day, a friend of mine was on a site for a doctor for Botox, right? We're ladies, that happens in our world. And Vi's Closet shows up. And because it's medical, then it starts to message some of our surgical items. So it was interesting to see it play out live with a friend of mine saying, look at your ads at the top of this page, and it's feeding this up to me because I'm on this specific site. So it's quite sophisticated, and I can't say that I do it myself. I pay someone to place my ads. We sit every month, we go through performance, we see what's driving well, what got more eyes, and we retire things that aren't performing well. But that has been central to my success in terms of we see clients now, not just women, but men, because husbands are up on YouTube because YouTube is scaled to men, and they're up later, and they will tell their wives, come in and buy this. So women come in and say, oh, my husband saw this ad on YouTube and he told me to come and get this. So having a broader audience has also been great.
It's brilliant. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
That blew my socks off. Okay, so Lee, you were closed for 100 days last year, and you still managed to have an amazing year. And so to me, this seems a little bit counterintuitive. Can you tell us about some of the things you're doing to make this happen? You did mention one thing that I thought was really interesting. You mentioned when you were locked down, you did live videos at a certain time each day.
Every day.
And can you tell us how that brought you closer to your customers?
Well, yeah, it became something that they could depend on and see something next, and they knew they could reach out and communicate. And full disclosure, I'm not the one that did the videos or did the lives. Two of our employees, two of our fitters, very passionate about what they did. They decided that they were going to come in every day and they were going to work the store. So I was in another area doing paperwork, filling out grants, answering questions, doing videos, smaller videos. I was sending out to specific places and doing more of the paperwork thing and being behind the scenes. So I kind of let my creatives come in and have a good time. So people really enjoyed that, and they got to know the ladies in the store. So the videos every day became reliable, you know, and some of the ladies are still reaching out to me. I miss my 3 o'clock Facebook Lives. So we've been trying to do a few more, but we're not selling them directly either. There are a lot of places that are saying, hi, this is item number 1. And item number 1 is a red Matilda, you know, but we weren't doing that. We were showing different things that they could do with outfits and just showing the product on mannequins. They very creative in how they were doing things. They figured out how to get the curtains to open, like on The Price is Right, remember? And they would have the bras behind. And afterwards, I would go into some of the pictures and I'd put in live links to the website. So we were having a good time figuring different things out. We also learned how to do TikTok during that time and opened up our own TikTok, which is hysterical. And I do those most of the time because I'm an idiot and it's a lot of fun to be just yourself. You know you. So during the lockdown, we tried to be entertaining with what people were passionate about and what they needed. We also somehow got into this female truckers group during that time, and ladies who were driving trucks around the country were watching our videos and contacting us and saying, you know, I'm a 6HH. I see you have my bra. Can you send it to my house? I'll be home next week. Sure, absolutely. So somehow we got into the groups where we were really helping women. They're still coming to see us. We opened up a new store in Ann Arbor, and we had a lady who had been shopping with us during the lockdown. Driving through Ann Arbor, stopped at the store. Hey, I'm one of your truck drivers. I'm like, well, hi. Nice to meet you. So that was a lot of fun, just to be able to find different places through our social media that we had no idea we were even going.
I love that story. I love this whole other world, right? Inhabited by lady truck drivers. It's just fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if it has anything to do with my truck. Freddie, you've seen my van. I have a van that is wrapped with all busted logos. I got a little frustrated a few years ago with billboard ads. Billboard ads in Detroit on our street, which is called Woodward, cost about $3,000 a month. That is not my advertising budget. So one of the people that I was going to an entrepreneur class with owned he did wraps for vehicles. And he said, you know, I could do that for about $2,500. It's lasted 3 years. $2,500. It's lasted 3 years. I drive that puppy all over the country. And I think that's where we got in with this group of women. It's been brilliant.
I love that. Is that giving you guys some ideas about driving trucks around, or a car with signs on it, or?
Well, you know, I was contemplating us buying a small compact car for delivery for our team and wrapping it. So it's kind of, you know, confirming my thought around that. But, you know, we underestimate women's needs no matter what they do. They need to shop. They need, you know, lady things. And wow, that's amazing that you're able to get a part of that group. I can only imagine how many women were in that group too.
It's been fantastic. If you do go the wrap route, the next time that I do a vehicle, I'm going to buy a white vehicle and do the wrap, do pieces parts. He did my entire vehicle, which is now pink and turquoise, but it's really a gold car underneath. So he had to wrap every element. And it took him a while, maybe about a week. But next time I think I would start with the base being a little bit different so you don't have to do the whole thing. But it has lasted a long time, and I don't see it coming off anytime soon.
Right. Thanks for that tip. It's great.
Oh, brilliant. So good. So good. So Sam, you and I talked about what kinds of, you mentioned it before, right? What kinds of products your customers are requesting now. And I was really happy to hear about that category, right? You were talking about sexy for all the reasons that you mentioned. Well, it is lockdown for you again, right? Because it seems to me that for the longest time, people just wanted things that just covered and did nothing in terms of lifting and support and all of that. So when did that start to change?
Well, first off, sorry for ducking out. In this lockdown situation, we have to limit staff in the store, so I keep seeing delivery folks at the door. But I find the request for sexy started at the same time. So yes, there's been that request for lounge and wire free. That's been really big for us. But I think once people, they're cooped up at home, they don't have much to do. It's nice to have something fun and saucy to wear, if they have a partner, or if, you know, maybe they're having some saucy Zoom dates. And again, I'm having people who, after sort of an extended period of this lockdown life where they're wearing sweatpants and staying home and really just not doing any of those little things that we do to feel good about ourselves or to go out into the world, they're wanting to get something to wear just for themselves, just to feel beautiful. So I have had a lot of like beautiful underwire lacy bras and fun colors. People want that because they want that little sort of shot of happiness that you get when you wear something like that. So I think it's a way for people to sort of return to themselves, because I've personally noticed this. I'm normally a fancy lady, and I've been doing some work from home and I sort of default to the sweatpants, but I just feel so sleepy. Like I just don't feel like I'm able to get the work done that I want to do. So wearing something that's a little more like the old me helps keep my spirits up. And I think a lot of customers are wanting that sort of connection to a different glamorous world that we're not currently in. So even if you're wearing that beautiful bra under your pajamas, you're still wearing that beautiful bra and still feeling great about it.
How about you guys? Are you finding the same sort of thing?
I'm doing a lot in sexy and accessories like toys. So, yep, it's lining up 100%. Also, lounge and wire free, it's just off the charts. Can't keep it in. So, yes, I think, you know, COVID has changed a lot, but the feeling good about myself and doing it for myself, I feel women have experimented away from their basic to something fancy to feel good, to get that boost of confidence, because we've gone through so many different emotions in COVID.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We have people who are asking for fun and for colors, and they're ready to own their life again in a way that feels right, beautiful. Even my mother's 84, and she still called me, can you send me one of those beautiful she wears Matilda, and so she's like, can you send me another one of those, because it just makes me feel good and gives me the support I need while feeling pretty. So, you know, I'm like, absolutely. We also have had some women call and say, I'm just bored, I need to have something fun to do. And I love the word saucy that you were using earlier, Sam. And yeah, they're like, my partner wants to see something different. Let's go for it. Okay, great.
Yeah, because a lot of the time it might be just you and your significant other in a very small space, right? And it's time to mix it up a little bit, other than, you know, the sweatpants and the raggedy old t-shirt that comes out every day. I mean, I was doing that for a while. You know, it started to have stains on it and things, and I just couldn't rouse myself enough to even just get changed into something else. And you know, you find yourself going into like a downward spiral from there, right? So I think putting on perfume helps. I put on perfume this morning.
And I truly believe the whole color thing, you know, when you put something on, it's so empowering. It makes you feel like you're in control when so many things are out of our control and other people are making decisions for everyone. Like, this is the one thing you have full control over, what you wear. And, you know, having that decision-making ability just is very empowering.
That's it. That's it. It's just taking back control. You're 100% right. And obviously when I was in the raggedy t-shirt mode, I felt that I had no control. It was just when we had been locked down and nobody knew what was going on. And I just, yeah, couldn't handle it well at that time. So yes, that's exactly it. Thank you for that. Okay, Rosa, one more question for you. You told me you're back to doing business in your store almost the way you were pre-COVID, but you too were in lockdown for 43 days in late March to early May. How did you reimagine your business model to get through that time and to be able to come out ahead, right? You came out ahead at the other end last year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the concrete changes that you made?
Thank you, Freddie. You know, it was difficult being at home for a long time, but we decided that we wanted to survive. And I have team members that have small kids, etc. So I focused a lot on the how we would reopen and be safe. I had a training manual and protocols that I worked on during the lockdown for COVID. Through Curve, we participated on a lot of retailer talks, which helped with sharing of information. But we reopened with being open to how our clients wanted to shop. And we knew that it wasn't just, at first we didn't have an option. They weren't allowed to come to our physical location. So Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp through cell phone, that's an app, that's Messenger, you know, video. I speak about the power of video because we would drop a video and our clients would respond, but they were just waiting to be engaged. And we have a high level of interactivity now with our clients that we just didn't have before. We kind of just sat and waited for the marketing to happen or for them to read the email and show up. Now we're on the phone, we're calling, you know, are you working? What are you doing? You know, have you had the baby? Do you need a nursing bra? So we are a lot more assertive in our client engagement and managing our client list and taking ownership of the information that we have, ownership of the emails, ownership of the cell phone numbers, and ownership of the relationship. And that has evolved into trust. So now when we reach out, they know that we're listening to what they want. And to be very fair, Amazon has done very well here in the islands. It's not as if they're not shopping on online shops and shipping it in and waiting. But we built a trust, and the trust was however you want to shop. Even now, I have some clients that have at-risk family members. They're still at home and they're still limiting their public engagement, and we're still delivering and offering that service. So I think that we have to realize that clients have a choice, and we value their loyalty through ensuring that we assert that customer service and knowing what they want and appreciating that through creating a paper trail that allows us to say, this is, you know, Jane, and she likes wire free, and do not offer her the newest wired bra because you need to know your client. And that's what we did. We got very intimate with the client connection through COVID and ensuring that they were able to talk to us however they wanted to.
Like all these linings, right? Because we were forced to do things differently. And in some ways, I feel that we're closer.
And it's a hell of a lot of work. So it's not easy. It's a lot more engagement, and, you know, even staff go through a very difficult time with change because, you know, they were used to life in one wave, and now we're on a super wave and it's accelerating and we got a lot going on. But you want that paycheck. We want to be profitable. We want more clients. So everyone's committed because we see other businesses going out of business and making hard decisions to close shops. So, you know, we're just feeling very fortunate to be able to do what we do and to still be here today, stronger.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you guys are just amazing, right? I mean, even now, I'm learning so much just here. I'm very excited about this, and I hope our audience feels the same way. I have one last question for everyone. How have you changed in the last year? Just you as a human, as a person. And also, if you had to choose the most important thing that you're doing differently now, just one, what would that be? So let's start with Lee again. Why not?
Thank you. I think one of the main things that has changed is I've opened up to letting other people take some things off my plate and own them. And even though I've always said, oh yeah, I'm gonna let other people do these tasks, I usually didn't. I overmanaged it. And I don't have time for that anymore. And so I'm trusting a lot more. Also in the way I react to different things, I'm a lot calmer, just to keep myself calm in my own world. You know, I always have to think, react first, listen, and I'm listening harder and I'm asking harder questions and realizing that we're all going through just a bunch of crap, going through beautiful things too. That those are big changes. I know that us as boutique owners, we are balancing helping our clients and helping our employees to stay into any kind of normal as we can, and working with the vendors, realizing the vendors are going through some amazing shutdowns and difficulties and layoffs. So coming to anything with kindness has been kind of my mantra through a lot of this. But letting other people help me with social media and different things in the store and scheduling, all of a sudden I'm finding that a lot of people are models, a lot of people are photographers, a lot of people are artists, and they keep sending me things and asking, would you like to have this put up on your site? Would you like to do this? We just did a whole series with local models and real women who are walking around in our streets every day. And that I will never change. I will never change that. I will always use the generosity of the ladies who want to show and express themselves artistically through lingerie. And it is a wonderful thing. And we're collaborating with other businesses. Next door is a bridal boutique, and then in the store I'm in today, and then I have another one where there's another space that is shared by a bridal boutique. Working with them to collaborate and show off how our products work together to help bring that other female entrepreneur into our audience. And they're doing the same for us naturally. We're not even asking each other, you know, it's just happening. So I hope that type of collaboration never changes as well. I hope that answers what you were asking.
No, it more than answers the question. Yes, thank you. And I love that whole collaborating with other businesses. Why not? Everybody's got something to add.
Why not? You know, we've also reached out to some of the other boutique owners when we can't find a product, because you do have so many wonderful patterns that get sold out and you can't get them again. So, you know, anytime anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm very happy to find what y'all need in that wholesale price that you might need to have over in your store. So, you know, just know that I'm very open to that as well. A couple of people have shut down their businesses and they've reached out, and I've been able to help buy their product. So I know there's a lot of, we now need to move stuff. Right, we all need to move some things that aren't working or are working really well. So just know I'm open to you.
Thank you very, very much, Lee. So Sam, how about you? How have you changed?
Well, when the first lockdown happened, I kind of went into a bit of a spiral and just started sort of planning for the worst. And I think it's important to do that. So you do have those strategies. Like if I am going to have to shut down my store. What does that look like? But over time, I started to realize that way of thinking was really dragging me down. And I had a conversation with a friend, and she said something like, hope is a discipline. And so I'm trying to be disciplined in my hope. And I don't mean to sound like a Pollyanna, but I'm trying to be more positive. And rather than planning for the worst, I am thinking about bad things that could happen, but I am now going with the belief that I'm getting through this. My store is going to get through this. It's going to go through the other side. It's not I might, it's I will. And that is helping to sort of keep me going rather than sort of staying up and fretting and just letting my mind get away from me. And then on a sort of store-wide change that I think has been really helpful. When I first opened my store, I didn't have an online shop. And then after a year or so, I set one up, but it was very begrudgingly. I didn't want to. I was like, I guess people keep asking for this. I hate it. I'll have an online store, but it's bad and people are going to get confused and it's just going to be a hassle. And I sort of right before the COVID started, I started thinking, okay, this online store is really clunky. I need to improve it. And when COVID hit, that was the push to make all of these changes. So I switched providers. I was able to upload a lot more products because I had a very limited amount on there before. My fantastic manager, Siobhan, wrote all of these great product descriptions, and in tandem with the virtual fittings, I'm realizing now that I was really silly to turn my nose up to online. Like, I always loved the in-person experience, and that is sort of the core of my store. But after this, I realized that, as Rosa was saying, people will use an online store basically as a catalog to pre-shop and then come in. It's a really fantastic resource that I had been ignoring. So this is something that over time I want to continue to improve my online store, continue to add more products, adding more guides, because we all know that every bra fits differently and fitting can be very complicated. So giving customers the resources they need, and also the helpline. So some people don't want to read a whole sort of blog about bra fitting. Sometimes they just want you to help them. So giving them the ability to, okay, here's how I can book an appointment for a virtual fitting, or just send an email. Maybe one day I'll have a chat function. But this is something that I really want to continue going forward. I was wrong. I am now embracing this virtual world, and I think this will again help me stay positive.
I absolutely love that hope is a discipline. That's going to be my mantra too. Yeah, that's very powerful. Thank you. And Rosa, how have you changed?
I think, pre-COVID, I was a bit passive. I had gotten into kind of a rut with my business. And during COVID, I proved to myself that change is possible, that if you really put your mind to change something, that you can. And, it may not turn out perfectly as you may have envisioned it, but it might surprise you, just the results you might get. So for me, it's the muscle you put in is what you get out of it. And I've proven it, that you just got to make your mind up and set a goal and work towards it. And it can be extremely rewarding, or teach you that maybe that's not the path that you should have gone, but you tried and you learned from it. For me personally, is to listen to my body. I got to the point of burnout quite a few times, and I would feel guilty for not being present or being available. And I had to learn that if I am not balanced and mentally, physically strong, how can I lead a team? So I had to put deposits in my bank and say, okay, I'm going to take today off and today's going to be for me. And I'm going to relax and try to renew myself so that I can be better for everyone tomorrow. So I think, with COVID, there's been so many stressors and so many emotions and we're always, at one point, I think we were all glued to the media, however we consume it. We were just glued to information. And at some point you have to kind of cut it off and say, okay, let me just relax and take a step back and see how I can be kind to myself.
So it's really, thank you so much, Rosa. To me, it gets back to what Lee was saying, which is, practice a little bit more kindness, even to yourself. Right? Because then sometimes we forget about that as well. I don't know about you guys, but I have enjoyed this so much. And I think what you have just told us is such valuable information. And I spoke to you before, but I got so much out of this, just this hour that we had together. I am eternally grateful to you. It was just, thank you so much for being so extraordinary. And I hope we all get to actually, be with each other for real in a non-virtual world and, have a cocktail or two, compare notes.
That would be nice.
I kind of feel that we almost did. It's a little bit early in the day to start with cocktails. I said, no, not yet. Tea is about as far as it goes. But this was amazing. And thank you so, so, so much. And I'm hoping that the audience feels the same way. I have a feeling that they will. I just want to say that this community is the most extraordinary community and so generous, right? Just the things that you shared today, right? And so it's the old adage, when the tide rises, all boats rise, and we need all of our boats to rise. And I personally feel, in the words of Frank Sinatra, the best is yet to come.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Freddy. This has been a wonderful opportunity, and I love meeting Rosa and Sam. It's just been a pleasure.
This has been fantastic. I've got so many new ideas that I want to explore from everyone, and I'm really just chuffed by how well everyone's working together. I love how this is bringing us all together to exchange these ideas, and as Lee was saying, this connection with other boutiques where helping each other is what is going to get this through this.
Yeah. Thanks, Freddie. It's been a pleasure, and it proves that we're not alone. Sometimes when you think you have an issue or you're encountering something, there's someone out there that may have had that same experience. And I've found that these forums have been so helpful to just helping, at least me, figure things out. So thanks for the opportunity.
Oh no, thank you guys. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, this was the best thing. Thank you so, so much. Big hug. Can't wait to see you.
All right.